Okay, it's 5:16, so I'd like to call the February Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to welcome Nora. It's her first time here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So the first thing we need to do is our roll call, or our
Translation.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, our translation services.
Thank you, Chair. Live interpretation of this entire meeting will be provided in Spanish. To access live interpretation services in Zoom, please click the interpretation globe icon in your Zoom meeting webinar controls and then select the Spanish language. At this time, I would like my colleague Kim or Kenya to provide these instructions in Spanish.
Buenas tardes. Para esta reunión tendremos toda interpretación en vivo de toda la reunión. Para acceder a la interpretación, usted tiene que simplemente ir a la barra de herramientas dentro de las herramientas de Zoom, seleccionar el icono de un globo que dice interpretación y seleccionar el idioma español. Muchas gracias y pasen buenas tardes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll do the roll call and establish our quorum.
Sure.
Thank you.
Let's start with Commissioner Huber Levy.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Ruchi Magtani. Thank you. Commissioner Agarwal is absent. Commissioner Bocanegra. Present. Commissioner Ginevra is absent. Commissioner Green. Here. Commissioner Liu.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Amaya Nori.
Present.
Commissioner Satvik Nori. Commissioner Susan Swope.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Uhila Hata is absent, and then Commissioner Ginevra is present. We have a quorum, so please.
All right, and I'm present.
Chair.
Yeah, that's okay.
Chair Rasmussen.
Okay, thank you so much. And I wanted to let you know that Tiffany might be joining us on Zoom. She said she might be joining us on Zoom. And Ron, could I invite you to join us at the table here? Thank you so much. All right, so we'll start with the agenda review and approval of tonight's agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the agenda.
I second that.
All right, thank you very much. And
You can see
all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the meeting agenda is approved. Next up is the approval of meeting minutes, and we are going to postpone that until next month. Commissioner Swope is going to do some work on that, and so we'll be doing that next month. And the next item up would be the departure of Commissioner Ruth Singh. So Commissioner Singh will no longer be part of the commission. She's had some personal things that she's been going through, some health issues and some things with her family. So she will be stepping aside. She's always welcome to rejoin us when things, she has some more time available. So I just wanted to make that announcement that Commissioner Singh will no longer be on the commission. And that does mean that we will have one opening. So, okay.
Chair.
Yes.
I do have to let the courts know.
Yes.
So is this as of today?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. All right. So now, do you want to call for public comment, Suki?
Oh.
Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Members of the public, this is for regular public comment. So items that are not on the agenda, you're limited to 3 minutes. So if you wish to comment, please raise your hand in Zoom now, or if you're in attendance here in the conference room, please get up, stand up. Okay. I do see one hand raised from, actually, and went down, 1 second, from Nancy Goodman. Nancy, I'll give you 2 minutes. I'm sorry, 3 minutes, and then please proceed.
Thank you so much. I'm Nancy Goodman. I live in Redwood City, and I'm with the In Our Care group. And I just wanted to say compliments. I attended the JJCC meeting last week, and wanted to thank the probation department for running a great meeting, sharing the data. There were a lot of questions about it. It was very engaging discussion on the youth court and the department's support for additional behavioral health services at YSC. So I just wanted to thank Chief Keen for running that meeting and look forward to hearing more from the department. Thanks much.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. I do see another hand raised from Anna Montangi, Polynesian. Is that maybe?
That's Commissioner
Commissioner, okay.
Matavia.
Commissioner, I'm gonna move you to be a panelist, and just for the record and Brown Act, you can participate, but you won't be able to vote and be part of the voting record. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that.
Yes, I apologize for not being there. Hello, everyone. Chairman Johanna Rasmussen, I apologize for not being able to come. I had an injury in my foot and I was driving today and it's been throbbing. So it wouldn't be safe for me to drive. I had to get my daughter to come pick me up from work, from my office. So I'm here.
Well, we appreciate you making the effort and we hope you feel better very soon. Thank you so much for being here. Is there any other public comment?
I don't see any other hands raised, so that's end of public comment.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so now we will go into our updates from our system partner. So we'll start with Mr. Ron Reyes. Welcome, Ron.
Good evening, everyone. So a couple updates. I have one. We on a staffing front, last week we have our immigration attorney started. She will be supporting, her name is Carla Gomez. She will be supporting the adult as well as juvenile office and all immigration related issues. Not a direct representation in immigration courts, but as support and addressing and identifying immigration issues for us, and would work closely with our attorneys on various immigration related matters. As far as our numbers for the last 4 weeks, we assigned 39 cases. Out of those 39 cases, 9 of them contain allegation of 707B offenses. We filed 5 sealing petitions, and on our Miranda hotline, we received a total of 24 calls related to custodial interrogations. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that update. We certainly appreciate it. I also want to mention that I had an opportunity to meet Miss Lindsay Page, and she is such a wonderful addition to your organization. We're so happy to have her. Do you want to say a few? I know you mentioned before, but do you want to just briefly remind folks about who she is?
Ms. Page works with us. She's an investigator and a social worker, and her role to work mainly with the pre-filing and early phase of the cases. So she works up front with all of our youth. She works a lot in the hall and with them upon detention, and then throughout the process up until there's maybe a disposition in a case. So by education and background, she is a licensed social worker, but she works also as an investigator. So we are really happy to have her, and her work really focuses on helping attorneys coming up with safety and release plans, identifying community-based organizations to connect with our youth, whether they are in our county or outside of the county, just try to come up with alternatives so we can help us argue for their release.
I've heard so much positive feedback from families, and so thank you so much for that. Does anyone have any questions for Ron, Mr. Reyes? No? Okay, do we need to take public comment on that? Yes. Okay.
Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item 3A, please raise your hand in Zoom now. Okay, no hands are raised, so back to you.
Thank you. Okay, next up on our partner updates would be the probation department.
Hi, hello, I'm Sanam Aram, and I am the superintendent of the juvenile hall. And this is my new counterpart, Nora Cullen, who replaced Johan over in the juvenile side, supervision side of probation. And I'm here to report out on our in-custody youth, and currently we have 35 in custody. 3 of our units are open. We have a total of 32 males, 3 females. We have 19 youth on EMP, 8 of those are post-adjudication cases and 11 are pre-adjudicated cases. And we have currently 3 out of custody youth in our care. 2 of them are which from Santa Clara and 1 which is from San Francisco.
You mean out of county, right? Out of county?
What did I say?
Out of custody?
I'm sorry, out of county.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you, appreciate it. And I'm going to report out briefly on, there's 183 of youth on formal probation, 156 youth total on diversion and going through the court process. Of those 156, 39 of those are on diversion and the remaining 117 are in that court process. And we don't have any youth in placement. We do have 1 in placement after care. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Thank you so much. Public comment?
Sure. Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item 3B, report by probation, please raise your hand in Zoom. Or if you're here in chamber, in conference room, please raise your hand. Okay, no hands are raised, so back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I do not see anybody from BHRS online, and no one is in the room. I did send a formal invitation asking them to attend.
Okay, there's 1 hand raised from
Oh.
Regina Moreno.
Oh, great. She is here. Wonderful. I'm so happy that she's here. Regina, welcome.
Regina, I'm giving you the permission to speak.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Regina Moreno, Clinical Services Manager with BHRS. And I don't think this had been reported at the last meeting, but Aurora Peña, who had been a longstanding employee with us and was our unit supervisor for 6.5 years, just recently retired. She had actually been with our YSC team for 18 years. And 6.5 years as a unit supervisor. She just recently retired at the end of January, and our work out of class unit supervisor is Orneet Shoham, who has been with us for the last 6.5 years, and also did some coverage as a unit supervisor during Aurora's absences, as in vacations. So she's been, she wasn't able to make this evening's meeting, but she will be in at the next meeting, and you all will meet her at that point in time.
Thank you so much for giving us that update. We certainly wish Aurora the very best in her retirement. You know, 18 years is a long time to be serving our kids, and we look forward to working with Orneet. I hear wonderful things about her, so.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions? No? Public comment?
Sure. Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item 3C, report by Regina Moreno from BHRS, please raise your hand now. All right, no hands are raised, so back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I see that Sarah Notch is here from the County Office of Education.
Okay.
If we could, thank you.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. I'm Sarah Notch, the Executive Director of the Center for Access and Engagement with the San Mateo County Office of Education. And one part of my role includes supporting our SMCOE school programs. This is my 5th year with the county office, but my 1st year directly supporting our court and community schools. And it has been a year of tremendous learning and honor for me to be in this space. My most exciting recent update is that our students in the court school program recently participated in a 15-day project-based learning career and technical education, or CTE, intersession to explore different careers and build their entrepreneurial skills. In this intercession, students participated in multiple lessons across a variety of different areas of exploration, including esports and e-commerce, where they created projects and prototypes and exercised their skills in financial literacy and communication. And throughout the program, our staff saw really high levels of engagement and shifts in students' mindsets toward learning. And at the end of the 3 weeks, all students presented their capstone projects to the staff and some special guest visitors and their peers, and shared what they learned and enjoyed about the experience. And I'm a big fan of data to measure our outcomes. So our pre and post assessments showed that the students demonstrated an increase in their growth mindset thinking, their future planning, and also demonstrated a higher likelihood to persevere through challenging tasks and scenarios. And they also self-reported a 55% increase in their motivation to learn just for the sake of learning, and a 72% increase in their enjoyment of the learning process. At the end of this intercession, 97% of our students were able to successfully earn A through G credit for this course, which would not have been possible without strong and supportive partnership with probation. So I really wanted to pass along my gratitude to Sanam and her team for helping make this possible for our students. Lastly, I just wanted to share that we recently gave an LCAP mid-year presentation updating where we are with our metrics at this point in year 3 of our 3-year LCAP at last week's SMCOE board meeting, which I understand will be part of the commission's report tonight. And as we're at the end of our 3-year cycle, we are working on a full rewrite this year. So thank you so much for inviting me this month, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So just for clarification, the capstone project was done at Hillcrest?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your presence, and we appreciate your update.
Question.
Yes, question.
That sounds like a fascinating opportunity for the kids, and it's so aligned with the OYCR report on what is important and impactful for youth incarcerated to be exposed to. How many youth participated in it?
Oh, I wish I had the exact tally, because we did have students coming in and out throughout the program. I believe in whole or in part, we had maybe around 25 youth who were involved. And then we're also bringing it to our community school Gateway in the late spring as well.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Was this part of the high school program, or were all of the children who are at the facility, even the college-age children, able to participate?
It was part of the high school program, that we did have middle school students who were participating in the program. We made sure that the content was at a Lexile level that was 6th or 7th grade, depending on the unit, or below, and really help support them through access points to ensure participation. Just due to logistics with groupings and staffing, it wasn't something that we were able to offer to the graduates at this time, but we're definitely looking into other possibilities for continued CTE intercessions and explorations, and hopefully pathways in the future.
That's wonderful. And so that explains where the engagement numbers come from, the 72% increase and the 55% increase, because our college age students are very motivated. So it's nice to see that we're making a difference with our high school students. So thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there a tracking mechanism that you'll be able to follow these youth as they transition out of your program back into either a normal school or college?
That's a great question. It's definitely something that we're looking at structurally as part of the support that we can offer our youth across all of our school programs, but in particular our Curtin community schools, to foster and help kind of oversee and shepherd transition services, both in, throughout, and out of our program. So it's a high priority for us that we're building to strengthen for future years. Right now, we do have staff members who are helping with that transition, but we know we have increased opportunity to really partner with our districts and the community college district and other institutions where our students may land as part of their tradition or transition to help support their future pathways.
And just one more question. Is there any CBOs that you are currently collaborating with in the community to provide the service that you're providing?
Well, right now this is all through our own programs, and so the business department that we're working with is our internal business department under the direction of our deputy superintendent Kevin Boltema. Part of the purview of the County Office of Education is to provide advisory support and, in some specific circumstances, approval of budgets of the district budget. So we work with CBOs in that capacity. But for this particular project and for our school programs in general, it's all internal business services.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll call for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item 3D, report by the County Office of Education, please raise your hand in Zoom now. Okay, I do see two hands raised. First one is Melissa Wilson, and then followed by Sharon. Melissa, you'll have 3 minutes, so please proceed.
Thanks so much. It's good to see everybody on Zoom, and I'm sorry I'm not there in person. And Sarah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. This may come up later, but you talked about the LCAP and how it's important to only include in the LCAP what can be measured and controlled by San Mateo County Office of Education, which totally makes sense when it comes to a public reporting document. But I still think, to follow up on Commissioner Bocanegra, I still think it would be of value to know what happens to children once they leave the court school. Even if that's not official data, it would be really helpful for system improvement. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next commenter is Sharon. Sharon, you'll have 3 minutes, so please proceed.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm on my phone. So I just had a question, and I do apologize. I missed a part in regards, I know Johanna asked about those kids who are currently in college, in regards to the program that you guys just did that was more focused on middle school and high school, especially those kids who are in the program that, you know, they're all about to be released at some point in time. So basically part of an exit program. So is anything being done? And I heard you said that, you know, down the line, but for current, what are the aspects or the ideas for those few, maybe many that are going to be released at some point soon in regard to this program that you just did with the high school kids and the middle school kids?
Is that under your public comment?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised, so back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that is the end of our system partner updates. I'm going to look just in case anyone's joined us that I recognize. I don't see anybody new. So we'll be moving on then to our next item, which is annual projects. It's a short list that was included in the agenda packet. We have 3 projects that will be continuing from 2023. The Juvenile Hall Food Services Project, the Transition Project, and the Gun Project. And as we decided at our last meeting, or we spoke about our last meeting, that we wanted to focus on a new project this year, which focuses on adolescent substance abuse treatment. So this is the time where I wanted to get input on whether, like last call, if anyone else has another project idea, we could discuss that. And then I wanted to get some feedback on the projects that we do have to see how we might improve them. And then after we have that discussion, then we will go for a vote on what our projects were, or official vote on what our project will be. So does anybody have an addition that they? You can speak, Jennifer.
Oh, okay. So, hello everyone, good evening. So when I get on, I wanted to discuss with the group about having a countywide summit on delinquency prevention and get all of the school districts involved. So that would be something that I would love to oversee.
Wonderful, and that's very needed. We really need to get going on that. So thank you. So countywide summit involving all districts in the county.
And partners and stakeholders, yes.
Okay. And Jennifer would like to speak of it. Who's next?
I have
Yes.
a project. I've been meeting with community members and some CBOs in East Palo Alto regarding sex trafficking. And I've been meeting with victims' parents that have been victims of sex trafficking. And there was a mother that was supposed to attend tonight, but I don't see her here tonight. But I think that there's enough evidence from the community in East Palo Alto to warrant a project that allows us to go into East Palo Alto and coordinate with the community there, community leaders, to probe the sex trafficking allegations, as well as what is being done, because we're hearing that there's not much being done, that young girls at high schools are being followed to school, people waiting at bus stops for them, and that there's video evidence of this. And so I just wanted to bring that forward today, because that's something that I think we do need to take a look at, especially when it's dealing with our youth, and they're more prone to be victims of this. So I just wanted to raise that today, and I believe that family members as well as community leaders will be attending our commission meeting in the near future to share their experiences with that in East Palo Alto.
Thank you for bringing that forward. I know January was Sex Trafficking Awareness Month, and I know there's been a lot of talk about this, and this is a real issue that's affecting girls in San Mateo County and elsewhere. So that is a definite project that's worthy of our efforts and time to figure out the scope of the problem, how we can address it, and what's needed to address it. Who's next?
Well, this isn't my project, but Megan did write, Megan Streicher, I think
Okay.
is how you pronounce her last name. She sent me a doc with like a project plan for implementing like the social and emotional learning skills to lead classes in San Mateo County. I don't know if we take that forward. I mean, it was her idea, so I don't want to speak for her, but she did.
Right, right. And that was something that we discussed that she'd be really good at, because that is something that she's kind of an expert at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having to do with that. I've always wanted to know if the schools that have implemented PBIS and social emotional learning skills and restorative practices, if they are having better attendance at those schools or better grades at those schools. I'd just like to see if there's any correlation between implementing those kinds of positive behavioral reinforcements and performance.
Excellent.
I'm not sure if Megan is on our meeting tonight. Is there any way to check that?
Is she?
I do not see her.
Okay. Yeah, I did read the proposal that Megan sent, and I had a few questions about it, so I thought what I would do is, and I'm happy if anyone else would like to be part of that discussion, and just have a further discussion with her about how she would see that going forward. The program that she was recommending is specifically directed at middle school.
Okay.
That Project Cornerstone, and I'm not sure if that's as applicable for YSC. but it sounds like maybe
We
it
do have
is.
some middle schoolers there. I mean, we do have some middle school age kids there. And we'll work at that level, right?
And it sounds like the other program that was just implemented was kind of 6th and 7th grade level, so maybe there is
room for that.
Yeah.
So maybe what we should do with Megan's project is maybe, because we can bring, of course, we can bring forward projects throughout the year whenever they come up, because issues don't always just show up at the beginning of the year, right? So
Right.
we could always invite her to come so we can get the questions and then approve that project maybe next month or when she has time to come.
Yeah.
So when we can
maybe
vet it
what
out.
we
and
could do
sort of
is
prepare.
have like a small group meet with Megan and just explore it a little further and then bring it back for the next meeting.
That would be perfect, because I'm really interested in that. And I know County Office of Ed's working on social emotional learning, and I think we need to get up to speed on that as well. And so that's great. So thank you so much, Susan and the chief. Who else? Does anybody else have any ideas? Eugene, did you want to? I know we talked about the substance abuse.
That's having what I'm on and definitely trying to get it where it's actually treatment and not just a program.
Yes, yes, because we don't have a single bed for youth in this county. And so like I mentioned last month, the Behavioral Health Commission is partnering with us this year. It is their #1 priority to get inpatient substance abuse treatment for youth in this county. And so we're hopefully with their vote tonight, we'll be joining them in that mission and really getting to the bottom of this. Because our kids, I mean, the truth is they're using fentanyl, they're using Percocet, you know, yeah, they're using marijuana and alcohol, but they're getting into these really serious drugs that can cost them their lives and destroy their lives. And we have to do something about it. We just can't sit and wait any longer. So, okay. So, Whitney, do you have anything that you want to bring forward?
Yeah, I mentioned last meeting I was hoping for this year that hopefully we could work on a project that was focused on foster youth.
That's right.
And I think that a few of the biggest issues with foster youth right now is I think that there is a lot of absences from school. I think that that's a big issue, as well as unreported and reported abuse. So maybe something along that line, or to make sure that they're receiving the proper services, because our foster youth are really slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, and I just want to point out something along those lines is that I've come into a situation in San Francisco where the department wasn't even taking new referrals, which we had to get a court order to get them to take a report. So I think we need to look into what's going on with that, if that's something that's unique to them, or if that's something that's just something that's changed. But I think we need to know about that, because I was shocked to hear about
A report.
just a report of abuse. Yes.
In a foster care situation.
In the juvenile hall. Oh, so when the allegation comes forward, and so we got to get a court order to get that taken. So I'm just wondering if that's something that's going on, something that's changed. But it's important to know what's happening, because a lot of times when our kids come here, they feel, even though they're in jail, they may feel safe enough to start talking with therapy and stuff. Things come out, so we want to make sure we're on that. Okay, so we've got quite a few here. Anybody else? Who have I missed? Steve, do you have something? No. All right, Sophic, okay. Okay, you've already got the gun project, so that's good. Okay, all right. So I want to expand a little bit on the, I think everyone's aware of the juvenile hall food services. Did anyone have any questions about that project? We got the
question.
yes.
I think the chief had mentioned that our numbers might have been a little low on what we're paying for that. Did we get an exact number on what exactly we're paying? Because I think that he said we were more at like 2 million on that.
The last number that I have is the budgetary number. So what they budgeted for and then what the actual was. So that's always going to be like at least 6 months behind, I think. So I don't have the most current number.
Okay.
So but I think what the budgets are done in May or June. So I think that's when we would know. So yeah, so we need to get that. So what we're going to be looking at is how Canyon Oaks operates their food services program, how other juvenile halls do their food services program, and the chief has sort of given us guidance that we need to bring this to the county, that this is the county's decision. So we won't be bringing this necessarily to probation. They'll be part of the conversation, but we're going to be looking to the county to make those changes. So I just wanted to be clear. I know we have new commissioners, people coming in. If there's any questions that are lingering about a continuing project, now would be the time to mention that. Okay, and then the transition project, Melissa and I and Commissioner Singh worked on this. We're still working on. Wesley, you're also on that project. And what we found is that there's a lot of help that's needed to kids who are transitioning on many fronts. They may need a place to live. They may need help getting into school. They may need to get to the doctor. They may need to get to the dentist. They may need transportation. They may need help with IEPs. So this is a project that I see expanding. What we originally went in to look for, and we got permissions from the attorneys to look in to see what are the kids who are leaving the hall, what their transition plans look like. And we were surprised to find that there weren't very many transition plans, and some of the ones we found were actually written by the kids. And so we really want to bolster that, right? We really want to give the kids the best opportunity to succeed. So we're going to be looking at how we can do that, what other services can be put in there, and then see if we might be able to identify either a provider or some way to close the gaps. Because right now there's so many gaps. Paul and I know, because we work with the kids in the community, and Paul and I are filling a lot of these gaps. Any questions about the transition project or anything, any ideas about what you might want to include or add to it this year?
I think that looking at how the court and community schools interact with school districts is something we can particularly hit on, given Ms. Blanco's expertise at the local school districts. So I think it's important for us to sort of understand what the barriers are in transitioning in and getting the IEPs like updated as soon as possible, and in transitioning out, how they're placed back in their classes and what some of the institutional barriers are.
Excellent. So I see this project really is expanding. I mean, this could even go into next year, but there's a big need. Okay,
Johanna, just sorry, you mentioned who's on the transition project. Maybe just refresh us as to who's on the Juvenile Hall Food Services project.
So the Juvenile Hall Food Services project, I'm trying to think now how it started. I believe it was Monroe and myself and Melissa. So I may be the only one left.
Last man standing.
Yes. So this is so
maybe you need some help.
Any of these projects, if it rings true to you, if it resonates with you, if you're passionate about it, or if you have extra time, we would love to have you. Any of these projects. So I think the rule is we can't have more than 7 because of the Brown Act.
No, you can't have 7.
Oh, 6.
He's 6.
6. So we can have up to 6, and many of these transition project now would just be Wesley and myself, right?
Yes.
Jennifer,
I would like to recommend for those of us who are not on working on a project, that maybe if they don't have an idea of their own that they want to work on, maybe they can just start on that subject.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Absolutely. And these are all in our Google Drives. You're welcome to just put your name in if you think about it later and say, hey, you don't have to wait till next month to let you know. And then, Amanda, do you want to say Monroe was working with you on gun project?
It was Monroe and Paul's niece, Ariana.
Oh, okay.
But I think right now it's just me. So again, if anybody's interested in working with me, I'd love to have you. So I mean, what we started last year was reaching out to like school districts and police departments to see like where like firearms are coming into our county, to see how they're getting to our youth, and like how we can, I guess, stop that pipeline of firearms coming to youth into our county. And I think that we want to continue like talking to more, I guess, CBOs who do like similar work and police departments this year, to just continue looking into where, I guess, these ways firearms are reaching youth in our county.
I would imagine that would include like opening up, maybe doing some more gun buyback programs, whatever we could, because guns are increasing. Like we're seeing them, like I said before, the kids say it's easier to get a gun than a pack of cigarettes. So that's alarming. So lots of opportunity here on the gun project. It's relevant, it's important, and we need folks.
And I'm still on that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
And something that we should find out is if our district attorney's office has ever pursued any of these gun manufacturers, or those who provide the parts that end up in our children's hands and used against our community. If we are taking it a step further, because I think people should be held accountable just as well as businesses, corporations, and systems.
Okay.
And maybe pending Commissioner Jackson could,
yes,
with his boots on the ground experience in the community, can be an advisor to that group, if not a member of that group.
And I'm dealing with all the little knuckleheads that get caught with them.
Right. So your input would be extremely valuable.
Okay, so any other comments before we go into sort of tightening this up on what we're going to be doing? Anybody? Do we need to, I guess I'll tighten it up and then we'll take public comment and then we can go to the vote.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we've got the Juvenile Hall Food Services Project, the transition project that we're going to add in the focus on looking at the obstacles and the barriers to transitioning back into school. We've got the countywide summit that Trustee Blanco is going to be leading. We've got the sex trafficking project that Commissioner Bocanegra has recommended. And we have the foster youth project that Commissioner Ginevro has brought forward. We have, did I already mention the gun project? Yeah, okay. And of course, we have the adolescent substance abuse. That's a lot of work, but I have faith in us that we can get it done and we can get it done well.
Do you want to include the social emotional learning project as a
placeholder?
Yeah, just
okay.
So keep it there for discussion.
Okay, so we'll add social and emotional learning. So I would like every commissioner to be linked up with at least one project. Many hands make for light work. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Just to piggyback on Commissioner Schlupp's suggestion, I'd like to throw in restorative practice in there as well. Restorative practice as well, because some school districts prefer to do PBIS with restorative practice. There's been studies say that those two programs work better together than standalone. So I like to include that, and then we can figure out what that looks like, and then we can work that into the summit, because it's good, that goes hand in hand.
Okay, so that'll just be an offshoot of the summit.
Yes,
I know
that's a great idea.
We worked for a couple years. Well, I wasn't on that project, but half the commission did on the restorative justice Pure Point project. That's at Sequoia Union High School District, and that was one of the biggest projects I think this commission was undertaking. Okay, so those are our projects. I'd love to hear from the community, from the public, on what their thoughts are about our work for the year ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item 4 regarding the projects for 2024, please raise your hand now in Zoom. Okay, no hands are raised, Chair. Back to you.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve for our 2024 projects, the Juvenile Hall Food Services Project, the Transition Project, Gun Project, San Mateo County Adolescent Substance Abuse Treatment Project, the County-wide Summit with Restorative Justice Practices, Sex Trafficking Project, Foster Youth Project, and the Social Emotional Learning Project. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Do I need a roll call vote for that? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, wonderful. So we have our project established for 2024. Thank you so much for your input. All right, going into our next item is going to be about the San Mateo County Office of Education. And I'm going to share my screen. And let's see. I always get, this is tricky for me because I have all these Zoom things here as well. So hopefully this will go. Oh, let's see, next slideshow. All right, so Melissa, Commissioner or ex-Commissioner Wilson and myself had an opportunity to present to the County Office of Education last week. And we gave a presentation on our educational inspection as well as our testing project that we did. And I think we were well received. I see many members of the board that are on here with us tonight. And I thank them for being here. We hope that the information that we provided them was helpful. After our presentation, the LCAP presentation was given. And so I just wanted to pull out, created a few slides and pull out some key information that I think is relevant to our work here. So for those of you, so these are just highlights and a summary. These are my own words. They're taken from the County Office of Ed, but these are my own summary. So what is, for those of you who do not know what the LCAP is, the LCAP is a local control and accountability plan. It's a 3-year plan that describes the goals, actions, services, and expenditures to support positive student outcomes and address local priorities. Okay, and it provides agencies an opportunity to share stories of how, what, and why their programs, what they're doing, and how they're meeting the children's needs. So I'm going to go over the summary of their 4 goals. First one is all students will become effective and engaged learners. And so I put the actual goal underneath there, which is basically by using accelerated learning process of early identification of educational gaps, increase specific and targeted instruction, formative and frequent assessments, trauma-informed practices through a culturally responsive lens. That's a lot. All students will become effective and engaged learners. And then the second goal is early intervention and support for special education students with intensive social, emotional, and mental health needs. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There also was talk that the San Mateo County Office of Ed was discussing the possibility of creating a therapeutic day program at Gateway, which we used to have one at Carlmont, which was very successful. So I would fully support that. The third goal is CTE, project change, career exploration, and employment readiness. And then lastly, expelled and foster youth in San Mateo County. So those are the 4 goals of the LCAP. And this is the data that I wanted to share with you. So for those of you who may remember when we did the testing project, we talked about the MAP scores. And so the metric is the MAP testing, and then the desired outcome is 100% of the students will complete the MAP testing or the MAP assessment. And so you'll see the administration rates for the test. Canyon Oaks for reading and math was 45%, Gateway reading 79, math 68, Hillcrest and reading and math was just 11%, and Camp Kemp reading and math was 33%. The MyPath assessment, the goal is 100% will complete the assessment. Canyon Oaks had it at reading and math 18%, Gateway 74 and 68, Hillcrest 12%, and Camp Kemp 33. There's some other standardized tests, and it looks like the first one here, the SBAC, 75% was the goal. They got about halfway there. And then with the math tests, 0. There was 0. So that was something that I wanted to bring to your attention. The next one is daily attendance rate. 95% of the students will attend on a daily basis. This is where Hillcrest far exceeds everywhere else, 99%. This wasn't always the case there. As some of you have been around for a while, no, that's exceptional. That's exceptional that 99% of the kids are attending school. As we know, as we'll talk later with this OICR report, education is key in rehabilitation. So the attendance rate overall, all court and community schools, 79.3, Camp Kemp 56, and Canyon Oaks. So chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% or more of the school days for the year. And the goal was less than 15% of the students will be chronically absent. And so we had 67% 74, 1% at Hillcrest. See, look how well Hillcrest is doing. Kudos to Hillcrest. And Camp Kemp had 100% chronic absenteeism, but my guess is that included one individual who was AWOL from the program, and so that can skew the numbers significantly, as you can see. And let me see here. This one?
Yeah.
It worked last time, but it didn't.
That might be the end of the presentation.
Oh, maybe. Okay. So I spoke quicker than I thought. Okay. So that's the data that I wanted to share from the meeting. I think it's important that we have an understanding of, you know, what this testing is showing and what's happening there. So I basically just wanted to bring that forward. And Commissioner Wilson and I, as we were sitting there listening to the information, we thought how helpful it is to have those breakdowns when we can see, because Canyon Oaks is a much different environment than Hillcrest, right? And Gateway is much different than Canyon Oaks. So it's important that this information be desegregated so we can understand it. So now that I've done this, I think I must ask if there's anyone has any questions about this data, get public comment before we go on to the next topic, which is continuation of this. Any questions? Public comment.
Sure. Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item 5 for LCAP update, please raise your hand in Zoom now. Okay, you see one hand raised from Hugo Torres.
Oh, wonderful.
Hugo, please proceed.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you so much for that presentation. It was very helpful in regards to identifying what needs there are in the community, and I look forward to our collaboration and making sure that those needs are met.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Okay, no additional hands raised. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, great. So the next item under San Mateo County Office of Education is ex-Commissioner Wilson and I felt that it would be important for the commission to make a formal request to the County Office of Ed asking that their data be desegregated. And so we're wanting to bring this forward to you all to see how you feel about that. And if you feel that that's something that's worthwhile, we can vote on it, and then we could form a small committee to get that letter written and sent over. But I want to hear some feedback from folks on whether or not you think that would be helpful. And if you have any questions about that.
Well, I'll start off. I believe that the desegregation of data allows and enables the commission to be more effective at the prevention part of the delinquency that we want to start focusing on. I think that we've been running very strongly on the rehabilitation part, and that it's, you know, at some point we're going to have to shift gears into the prevention model. And we know education is the primary tool for rehabilitation to be successful. And I think that we should turn our attention to desegregating the data so we can really start focusing our attention on the parts of the educational system that we may be able to assist on improving. And I think that through the work we've done over the years, that we know that many of our youth that end up in the incarceral system are introduced to the criminal element at school. So I think it's important that we do segregate this data and start focusing on prevention ideas and models that we can adopt, maybe other prevention models across the country that are being utilized, start focusing on what can possibly work here in San Mateo County, because in order to dismantle the school to prison pipeline, I think that we really have to afford every youth the education that will enable them to mature, as well as have the confidence to mature successfully into the community. So
thank you so much, Commissioner Bogan.
Yes. I was just wondering, could you clarify what desegregation of the data actually means?
So when the LCAP, so and I want to be clear, we may need Commissioner Wilson's help on this, but so what it means is, from my understanding, is that Horton Community Schools, all the data comes in for all of them, right? So there's a breakdown. We had some breakdown, but yeah, what we want is a breakdown of all that data, because so
I can
yes,
I
go
can
ahead.
help.
Yes,
So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we don't mean desegregate data, we mean disaggregate data so that data for each student population is clear. So there are many, and Johanna didn't include those, there are many statistics that looks at how many students are achieving above a 2.0 grade point average, and there's just a number. And so to disaggregate would mean, what does this actually mean for Canyon Oaks, for Gateway, and for Hillcrest School? And then even within that, it would be very interesting to know how are longer term students doing compared to shorter term students. So the term is disaggregation of data.
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. And so I tried to include the ones here that were relevant to us that we could understand, right? But there's so much more that I really couldn't present in a slide because I really don't know what it means.
I believe also that this would be an important opportunity to take a look at how many of our youth that are attending any educational institution are attending it from a vehicle or an RV or a tent, because our county just moved to criminalize homelessness. And we know many youth that end up in our YSC are homeless. And so we have to start taking a look at how many kids are homeless right now in our schools, so we can try to develop some other model that will help them find secure housing so they can learn algebra at the same rate as their peers who are living in a $2 million home right across the street from the school. So I think that's something we should definitely take a look at and figure out how our youth are going to be impacted by this resolution that was unanimously passed to begin criminalizing homeless community members in the unincorporated parts of San Mateo County. And we know North Fair Oaks is a hotbed where deputies tend to arrest youth that end up in our YSC and on probation.
Yes.
I have another question.
Thank
So
you.
this initiative to
Yes.
get the disaggregation of data, does
Yes.
that relate to the transition project? Or is that a separate, or are we talking about a separate
No,
project here? Because
this isn't a project really, it's just a letter, kind of like what we did with Samtrans, but before writing a letter, I need to get permission from everyone on the commission. If this is something we want to do, it's just a request. It's just a request that when they, that this is how they start processing the data. It's simply a letter saying that Juvenile Justice Commission would like for you to
Provide this information.
Yes.
In a
I think-
disaggregated
Go ahead.
I think it was semi-related to the testing data or the
Yeah, the
testing
testing
project, 'cause
project, right.
that was where a lot of the data that was very
Yes.
like difficult to understand came from, for sure.
Mhm. Well, I'm just wondering if we make this request, someone has to kind of take it on and follow it up and receive the information and continue with the discussion. So it's kind of like maybe we should relate it to the testing project. Because
I would
it
think
does
it
link
would
to
fall
something.
under the inspections, the educational inspection, which we'll be talking about later.
Okay.
Because that data then would go into the educational inspection. I mean, typically, every year that would happen, so whoever that leader would be would take that on, because they'd want to report out on these things in that inspection, I would imagine, if the data was clear.
Okay.
So that's how I'm envisioning it going forward, but of course, I'm open to however everybody else is.
It might be
yeah.
interesting to have a data, I guess, project where like they can maintain the data dashboard that we used to have on our website, and they can I guess work with probation to request any data that anybody in the commission working on a project needs or requires.
Yeah, so you're saying like a data liaison?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so the one person that would be your contact, I need this data, you go to them and then they know who to do it. Good point.
Point of contact, yeah.
Good point. So that would be like a role, liaison role. Okay, perfect.
That does relate to a question that
Yes.
had been simmering with me on.
Okay.
What are we doing with our dashboard?
Yeah,
So that is
unfortunately, everyone who created it is gone.
right.
And data is difficult to come by now because the analysts, even at probation, I found out yesterday, are only putting the information up every 3 months.
Right.
So we're having difficulty getting timely data.
I think
And
Maya,
the
you
BS
were involved with
I
that,
was,
right?
and then the BSCC website just stopped working where we got the data from. So
Okay.
it kind of, I guess, fizzled out from there.
So it's
But-
difficult to maintain a dashboard with no
Yeah,
data,
yeah, exactly.
right? So we have bodies who are willing to do it, but if we don't have the data, we can't. So we're kind of restarting from scratch, unfortunately. The mechanics are there, right? The system is built, but we need to feed it.
Is there a reason we were given on why we're going to every 90 days instead of every 30 days?
It was my understanding that the probation analysts are no longer providing that information to the representatives that come to the meeting monthly, that it's actually being placed on the website instead. And so that there's certain data that, the data that's not reported here, that we have to wait until it's up on the website to receive. And the difficulty with that is when we're talking delinquency prevention, working 3 months behind it puts us behind all the time. 3 months is a long time to say what's going on in Daly City or what's going on in East Palo Alto. By the time we figure out what's going on, it could have, changed significantly.
Right.
So, just wanting to steer us back to the letter. Is this something that the commission is interested in doing and supporting? So should I call for a motion?
Yes, and we can take public comment.
Okay, so then I have a motion to approve, giving the authority to write a letter to the County Office of Education asking that the LCAP data be disaggregated.
I move that we write the letter.
Okay, I have a second?
A second.
Okay, and do we take public comment now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then the letter will be sent through the chair. Correct?
Yes.
I'll take public comment for item 5, letter for the LCAP data. Please raise your hand now in Zoom. Okay, no hands are raised. You can act on the motion. Oh, did you already?
Yes, so we'll go ahead and all those in favor of sending the letter to the County Office of Education regarding the LCAP data, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And all those who are abstaining? Okay, that passes. We will be getting that letter out in the next month, and we're looking forward. Hopefully that will be helpful in our future endeavors. Okay, next up on the agenda is the educational evaluation that was included in your agenda packet. It was during our last meeting, I know we had asked the chief if he had seen this educational inspection report from Santa Cruz. VSCC, I understand, is now asked that the County Office of Education get a third party, in addition to our educational inspection, a third party will be doing the educational inspection as well. And so we received their report. It's 7 pages. I think our report was probably 6 times longer than this report. This report covers the basics. It was done by Santa Cruz County. So it is very important that everyone take a look at it, read it. There were just 2 issues that Commissioner Wilson and I found that were of issue. And we presented this last week to County Office of Ed. And the first one was the written policy. They had passed it as the County Office of Ed, let me see which part it is here, that there was, they marked it as compliant with the written policy and procedures when it's actually missing. They do note that they will be having a meeting. Thank you. Okay. The school and facility administrator shall develop and implement written policy and procedures to ensure communication and coordination between educators and probation. And I think it's also this one too. Yeah, the County Board of Education shall provide for the administration and operation of juvenile court schools in conjunction with the chief probation officer or designee pursuant to applicable state laws. And so it talks about how this is in process. And we just wanted to make sure that we pointed out that this is something that's been in process for several years. So this was not something that was new due to staffing or due to changes, but it was something that had happened in the past. And then we also wanted to point out that rigorous quality educational programming, that was something that we were hoping to get a little bit more information as to how they define rigorous and quality education. So we were able to track this down. The point of this is that we were able to track down the report. It's here for your review. I did call the SCC to get further clarification on what our role will be, because as many of you may remember, I had asked the chief, I had said, well, we've never received any notification from BSCC saying stand down or we don't want this from you. So I received clarification that this new portion that's going to be done by an outside county educational agency is in addition to ours. So we will continue to do our educational inspection just like we always have. And that's why we never received anything from BSCC saying stop. So we will continue to do that, and the County Office of Ed will continue to either work with Santa Cruz or another eligible agency or a qualified agency to continue to provide that. So does anybody have any questions about that inspection report or how we will be proceeding, or yes?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I noted happily on 1370, I guess it's C, school discipline, that they are using 5-star PBIS. And also on the next one, the teachers are well-trained in de-escalation strategies and restorative practices. And I'm wondering if that maybe has something to do with the 99% attendance.
Could be.
Because they're using proactive, positive reinforcement of good behavior, and they're getting results.
You're getting good results. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Oh, Chief King's here. Chief, did you want to say a few words?
Good afternoon, everyone. No, I don't really have anything to add. I mean, it's the education department's piece regarding this. I did have an opportunity to read it, and I'm glad you had an opportunity to speak with BSCC regarding what the new expectations are. I will just say for the record that I think 2 separate reports could potentially cause some confusion for education with regard to whose recommendations they're going to be mandated to follow. So, you know, I hope that they will be able to get some firm direction as regard to that. But outside of that, I don't have any comments. So thank you for the opportunity, though.
Yes, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, so that covers, I guess we need to take some public comment.
Yes, that'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Members of the public, if you wish to comment on the educational evaluation for Santa Cruz County, please raise your hand. On Zoom. Okay, no hands are raised, so back to you, Chair.
All right, great. So we're back on the education front. Our next item is a report from OICR. It's called Secure Track Building Pathways to Higher Education. And I was very, very pleased to see that in this 95-page report that was issued, Project Change was highlighted. We are doing extraordinary things when it comes to education in this county, and I wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to see this report. The report is very thorough. It talks about the risk factors of, the risk factors for children who end up being incarcerated and the challenges they face. And there's so many. Just the turnaround and the rehabilitation and the opportunities that come from providing them a solid education. So basically this item was just to get the report out there, let you all see it, and give you an opportunity to give any comments or share some feedback. So I'm going to open the floor to whoever would like to talk about it.
I think I'm hoping that every commissioner has the chance to read it, even if you kind of go through parts of it quickly, but the overview of the impact of education on incarcerated youth and the risk factors, I think, was just very highly instructive background for all of us to have. So I'm really glad that you included it in the agenda pack. So everyone has it. Please read it.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, public comment on the OICR Secure Track Building Pathways to Higher Education report.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the public, if you wish to comment on this item, please raise your hand now. All right, no hands are raised, Chair. All right, back to you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so next up on the agenda is our court commission, our court liaison, Vice Chair Huber Levy is now our court liaison, and she has some exciting updates to provide us about some things that are happening in the near future.
Yes, so I'm really delighted and excited to share with you that Johanna and I have both had great discussions with Judge Edizadi about putting in place some training, some required training for all of our commissioners to give everyone a chance to understand and be exposed to an overview of how juvenile justice is administered in our county. And if we all know that the main reason for the Juvenile Justice Commission is to inquire into the administration of juvenile justice in our county. So this is extremely important. And Judge Edizadi had some wonderful recommendations. And I think it, as Her Honor suggested, it would be more exciting to hear the overview as opposed to have individual presentations. And so what we're proposing is on Friday, April 19th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the court to hear from Judge Edizadi, Ron Reyes, Nadia Hahn, or DA, the DA himself could also be there, I'm not sure, and potentially Chief Keen, if that fits his schedule, and to give us an overview, to have a 30-minute presentation by each with time for questions, and so that we can kind of track all of the various roads, a conversation of how things generally work, the genesis of a case, how it winds through the justice system, the various roads that a case would take depending on the charges, informal probation. I'm sorry, I didn't mention probation. Yes, I said Chief Keen, but whoever else in probation could be there. Dual cases, secure track and transfer hearings. And I will turn it over to Judge Edizadi to provide us with a little bit more insight into what we can expect.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Yes, well, I thought it would be nice, more like a conversation, but in the sense of you would meet me, you would meet John Keen, you would meet Nadia Hahn, because she does that area of law. You would meet Ron Reyes, and each of us would give a perspective on how we get a case. So I envision it starting out with probation, and then, you know, how Ron does things, and then how Nadia does things, and then how the court gets the case, and the various avenues that a case can take. And then in that context, people may have questions about certain things, but and I envision it being in my courtroom, you know, at 222 Paul Scannell Drive, and we can all be in there and talk and have a conversation. And I envision lots of questions that people might have. And then I know that you would ask me to also talk about the law of transfer hearing, which I'm happy to do. And then of course, Ron could chime in or Nadia could chime in, but it's really an opportunity, I think, for the commission members. And I think I'm limiting it to the commission members, because you're on a commission, you need to meet us and you need to know what we do each and every day and how things are done. And if you've never been in a courtroom before and you don't really understand how the pieces fit together, it enables you to be a better commissioner if you understand how the pieces fit together and who the parties are. So that's how I envisioned it. A conversation, and then you also get to know us a little better. And most importantly, we get to know you a little better and in person. And of course, we're open to suggestions. I reached out to Ron and Nadia and Chief Keen. If everybody has any other suggestions, or if you have specific questions that perhaps in advance that you might have, we can try to address those early on. But those are some ideas that I have. It's really an opportunity to educate each other on what we do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a great point. What we can do is maybe accumulate some questions and provide them to you in advance, that if there's some kind of lingering questions amongst commissioners that you've kind of wondered about, or as we hear reporting out on a monthly basis, you've kind of been always, you know, wondering how things fit together, we can provide that to you in advance and you can use that to present to us. But thank you so much. We're really excited about the opportunity, and I hope that I understand that, you know, there may be some conflicts and such with school schedules, but I'm hoping that everyone can make their best effort to attend at this time. So April 19th, I'll send around another note just to kind of turn that date up. April 19th from 2 to 5 p.m.
I'm very excited for
Me
this.
too.
I'm very excited. We have so many new commissioners and it's just vital that
Yes,
everybody
and
has
the
a,
pending commissioners are,
Yes.
of course, invited too.
yes,
please.
hopefully they'll be
hopefully
sworn
they'll
in by then.
Yes.
April's a long ways away, so hopefully everyone will have time to put in either for their boss or it's not finals time yet. So hopefully it's just maybe an hour early you'd have to leave school.
We could write you a note.
Yeah, I'd be happy to write you a note. I
Actually,
also,
Judge Edizati could write you.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That note,
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Commissioner Huber-Levy, do you want to talk a little bit about our invitation to come into court again, or do you want me to cover that?
I'd
Okay.
be happy for you to cover
So
that.
when I met with Judge Edizati, we talked about, well, how do commissioners learn about the process if they are not coming into court like we used to? And she made it clear, it was my misunderstanding from before, that commissioners are welcome to come in and sit in court. We just need to tell them in advance when we're coming. And she'd like us to be there twice a year for educational purposes. That's the point, is for educational purposes. So we are welcome to come. I'll put instructions in the Google Drive on how to go about contacting folks, who to contact and who's where, when. And so we can go ahead and come back into the courtroom so you can sort of see things for yourself in action and how things go. So hopefully by the end of this year, everyone will be fully trained, well-informed, and really have a grasp on what our role is here and what's being done and how we can, what efforts we can put forward to improve things.
Just to clarify, I thought perhaps we were also asked to try to come in groups if possible, as opposed to individuals, or is that just?
Your Honor, would you like to?
Well, my thinking was, and this up to the commission, if you have a protocol, new commission members, there should be a certain number of hours spent in court, and you're welcome to come as a group. We do that for the CASAs. All the CASAs in their training programs, they come to court, they come to my court, Judge Cho's court, and they observe. And I don't exactly know what the details of their protocols are, but it is an important part of their program to spend an afternoon or 2 or 3 in a courtroom and listening and trying to understand what's going on. And then afterwards, I answer general questions, nothing specific about a case, because I can't talk about cases ex parte, but procedure and the like. And that's what I envision for commission members. And I note that you have some commissioners who've been on the commission a long time, like Susan Swope, but the law has changed, in 20 years for juveniles. We have a lot of nuanced changes in the law, specifically in the area of transfer hearings, which is all new. And so that's how I envision it, if you can get a group together. But of course, if you're not able to do that, we're not going to, you can come individually. But I envision it as part of a training protocol that you might have for commission members, so they have a better understanding of what we do.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So lots happening with the court. That was very exciting stuff. All right. Do we want to, anyone have any questions? So we'll take some public comment.
Sure.
Thank you.
Members of the public, if you wish to comment on item.
Is it 9, Susan? 9.
Yeah, 9.
9, okay. I guess there's a number mixed up on.
Oh, sorry, that's on me.
That's okay. If you wish to comment, please raise your hand now. I do see 2 hands raised, Sharon, and then followed by Becca Keeler. Sharon, you'll have 3 minutes, so please proceed.
So I have just one question, and Judge Edizati, thank you for inviting the commission, but can parents actually invite the commissions to have them come to one of their children's hearings? That's a question.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I suppose you would be asking for a commission member to come in as a support person, and then I would have to hear it from the attorney to make sure that everybody's in agreement, nobody has an objection. Because let me just take a step back. Everybody needs to know the proceedings are generally confidential, although we do have public hearings many times a week, and we post the calendar in the morning. So for our public hearings, everybody can come to court. But the the court hearings aren't confidential. So the most important thing is when people come to observe for education purposes or to be a support person for youth, is just keeping in mind that the proceedings are confidential. There's to be no posting about what you observed or what you heard. That would violate the confidentiality of the youth. Youth shouldn't be reading about themselves 10 years from now, you know, when they Google themselves, for example. So to answer your question, Sharon, if somebody you know wants to have a commission member because they have a relationship, reach out to the attorney and ask them if that's okay. And of course, we would be open to it. We want to make decisions that are in the best interest of the youth. And if that support person is going to support the youth, I think that's a good thing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Sharon. So, sorry, through the chair, usually public comment, we don't go back and forth with questions, but it's totally up to you if you want to allow that, but just.
I think that was a kind of a unique situation, so that's fine. But
Okay,
yes,
great.
thank you so much.
No problem.
Forgive me, I should not have responded. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you, Judge. Our last comment from Zoom is Becca Keeler. Becca, please proceed.
Yes, I just want to say this has been a very exciting meeting in general, and Judge Edizadi, what a fabulous offer. I wish the public were invited. I just want to say it sounds great. It sounds like transparency. It sounds like a wonderful way to educate. I just want to say congratulations. Great concept.
Thank you, Becca. No additional hands are raised. Chair, so back to you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is a legislative update on Proposition 1 that Commissioner Liu is going to be talking to us about. As many of you know, this is a hot topic. Everybody's talking about Prop 1.
yes.
So we're looking to you to fill us in.
Yes, I love that we are looking to the non-voter to talk about the voter issue. But yes, I'll be giving a legislative update on Prop 1. As all of you who have received your ballots by now hopefully know, it is at the top of the ballot after all the offices. And so Prop 1, the title of it is that it hopes to address behavioral health services and housing for vulnerable populations in California. So it has a very broad title, but if voters choose to approve it, it does a few things. Most notably, it issues $6.38 billion in bonds to fund housing for homeless individuals and veterans, including mental health care and substance abuse treatment facilities. But it also does other things. So the first is that it renames the Mental Health Services Act to the Behavioral Health Services Act. And the reasoning for shifting from mental to behavioral health, is because behavioral health is broader. And so this goes to the second, purpose or action, is that it will expand the purpose of the act to include substance abuse or substance use disorders, while the current act in its existing form only deals with what it calls mental illness. And so it's broadening the purview of the MHSA, but it also allocates 30% of the Behavioral Health Services Fund, which is what the MHSA was funded by, to housing intervention programs for those afflicted with homelessness or substance abuse. So in addition to $6.38 billion, it also allocates 30% of the existing fund that's available to this cause and to specific interventions. But it also, and then the final part of the proposition is that it increases the oversight commission of the Mental Health Services Act from 16 to 27 voting members. And so it's a substantial increase in the level of representation on this commission, but unfortunately, I don't believe the proposition goes into specifics on who gets to sit on the commission. But right now, it's primarily mental health professionals. And the role they play currently is that when, agencies such as BHRS here in San Mateo County submit proposals, that they have a role to play in providing oversight on how the funds are used. And so it's interesting to see, it's obviously an important priority for the state and for the governor, to solidify the level of wraparound services for mental health. But this is a very large ballot measure, and it's also important to note that there are several professional associations, including Blue Shield of California, NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and Sutter Health, among others, that are supporting Prop 1. And I'm sure all of you have been getting ads from Governor Newsom supporting Prop 1 as well. And so this is going to definitely impact the landscape of mental health and public health in the state of California. And we're all going to find out what happens, I guess, in a week.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the very thorough update. You give fantastic updates and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, and who's got questions? Oh, Commissioner Houghton has Hila Houghton has her hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Who was that presented, Commissioner?
Lou?
Lou, thank you so much for that. I think I just would like to add Proposition 1, the commercials paint a really compassionate picture of a brighter day for folks with mental health challenges. But they also fail to show that the potential impact on our local community. It will affect a lot of the prevention prevention services, some of the centers that the county at that county level are funding through MHSA. Our organization sits on the East Palo Alto Behavioral Health Advisory Group, so this will directly affect the quality of behavioral services that our organization and our group would be able to serve and in terms of prevention efforts in the community. So if Prop 1 passes, the control of these efforts will shift to the state and most likely will disappear for us locally. So organizations in East Palo Alto who are affected by this, it won't affect, the behavioral health, mental health third floor here at the county center, but it will affect the relationships that they have with the local organizations who are doing the grassroots outreach and prevention and mental health stigma awareness and education. So I just wanted to add that. If any of the other commissioners on here tonight who this will directly affect your work, we're putting out not mailers, but just flyers to just educate the community on making a sound decision when it comes to Prop 1. And I'd just like to add that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's one of the biggest issues our community faces is homelessness and mental illness. And so this is why I wanted to give the opportunity for us to have an update on it so we could be more informed about how that might affect us. And there's many different views on it, but being informed is always the best way to go to the ballot, right? The best way to go to it.
And I have a question. You were taking questions on
Yes.
So one of the questions I have is, in them shifting from mental to behavioral, does that change the prosecution scheme of things? Because if it's mental health and they're self-medicating, usually that comes with some sort of treatment. If it is then behavioral, then does that constitute maybe the incarceration model? Does that bring in charging community members who self-medicate differently? Do you know if that's going to change maybe the influx of community members receiving mental health treatment and instead are going to be receiving incarceral treatment? Because we know there's no drug and alcohol programs right now in our jail. We have youth who have migrated to the jail who can buy drugs before they can get in a drug program in the jail. And I think that that's a good question regarding that. And I've heard that also some of the pushback in the community is that it's going to allow the incarceration of the displaced population through Proposition 1. So it offers them the treatment. If people don't take the treatment, then incarceration is on the table. So again, there's been other pushback other than what Tiffany was just talking about right now. And there's just a lot of chatter in the community that are saying that this may not be the best thing for taxpayers to take on right now.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I'm not sure. I believe Prop 1 is just changing the category from mental health to behavioral in terms of funding.
Right.
So I don't think there are any, I guess, legal reclassifications happening. But with regard to the taxes, to be clear, I don't believe that Prop 1 increases taxes. Rather, it's reallocating and redistributing how much money within the mental health.
But didn't you say that it will issue bonds in the amount of 3.38 billion? And bonds are paid for by taxes.
Mm-hmm. But the Mental Health Services Act is already doing that.
How do the funds here, are these the same funds that are already allocated, that have already been issued?
So I believe that, and this is coming from the Legislative Analyst's Office.
Yeah.
It says that there are no changes to tax, but also that states get larger share of tax in terms of how much MHSA goes to counties and how much goes to state. And it also changes the nature of how counties provide services, in that the state also steps in to support housing and things like that. So I'm not sure about the bond. I believe it's operating under MHSA as well. And according to the Legislative Analyst's Office, there is no changes to tax. So this is something to look into further.
Thank you, Leslie.
A question for follow-up.
Yeah. The bonds are not taxes, right? Bonds are not taxes.
The way, when bonds are issued, they're paid for through taxes, and that usually means that money has to be collected, usually from property owners.
They raise our sewer rates and attach them to our.
Yeah, that's not specifically mentioned in the proposition, but again, a lot of the arguments in your ballot book on the con are about sort of the downstream effects or the things not specifically mentioned, such as perhaps less local control or the issue regarding the bond.
Any other questions? Thank you, Commissioner Liu. You did an outstanding job. All right, last up, and it looks like we are going to be getting out early tonight. Last up is a new item that's going to be on the agenda every month, and it's called Matters of Commission Interest. And the purpose for putting this on the agenda, yes, public comment.
Sorry.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Thank you for keeping me on my
No
toes.
problem. I did see your hand raised.
Oh, perfect.
For item legislative update.
Thank you.
I think, was it Rahina, did you want to speak for this item?
Yeah,
That would be
great.
wonderful.
What?
Rahina from BHRS?
Rahina, I'm gonna give you the permission to speak. Your hand is lowered right now, but I believe you wanted to speak, so could you let us know?
I apologize.
No, that's okay. I do want to strongly encourage folks to really pay attention to Prop 1 and read both sides very carefully. One thing that we know that if it is a yes on Prop 1, it would take away all of the MHSA prevention dollars at the county level, among other changes. So I just do want to really encourage folks to be as well informed on both sides. And currently, the no on Prop 1 side is very underfunded, but yeah, it will take the MHSA prevention dollars at the county level away if it does pass.
Has the Board of Supervisors taken a position on this?
No, nothing I know of.
Yeah.
They had their meeting this morning. Did anybody see the Board of Supervisors are meeting this morning between 9 and 1? I know that the community wanted to go and make a public comment, but I think it was just too short notice.
No, yeah, I clicked on meeting. There was no public comment regarding that.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that input, Rahina. That's very valuable input. All right, if there are no other hands, we'll be moving on to the next item, which is matters of commission interest. And as I was saying, this is an item that I put on the agenda that will be going forward. This is to encourage every commissioner to bring something forward. What are you doing? What do you care about? Is there an event? Is there something you want to share? I want every voice at the table, and I want everybody to contribute and give you a space to do so. So that's what this is about. So tonight we have three folks who stepped forward with a matter of commission interest. And the first is Commissioner Safik Nori with an update on the Sequoia Union High School District.
Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions. The thing I wanted to share more about was Gateway School, because I know that's an interest or something that's of interest to the commission, is also of interest to the district. Out of the 20 spots at Gateway, I think Sequoia buys 15 of them every single year. So the county Office of Education actually contracted with the National Equity Project to figure out what to do about the redesign of Gateway, because I think one of the criticisms a lot of people had is that it seemed like it was kind of winding down and we weren't sure to what quality the education of students who were going there were receiving. So the district and the board actually met with the National Equity Project to kind of share what we believe the district needs from Gateway and what kind of support we're looking for students from our district to end up going to Gateway. And as of right now, an update from them is that there are no program changes that will be implemented the next year. But I think for the following year, they are planning to kind of, based off the findings of this National Equity Project, kind of redesign Gateway and kind of figure out which improvements they have to make. So I'm not exactly sure who else the National Equity Project are meeting with, but I'm sure maybe someone from the Juvenile Justice Commission might be interested in meeting with them too, to kind of give some input. But yeah, that's kind of the update I wanted to share of something that might be related to the commission.
Thank you so much. That's relevant and of interest. I appreciate that. Thank you for your work on that.
So the discussion about Gateway, the plan is to redesign and improve, but there's no discussion about closing anymore.
Yeah, I think they kind of decided that for now they wouldn't close Gateway.
That's interesting about the National Equity Project too. I don't really know much about that. Is that, you mentioned that they're working with other.
Yes, I think the County Office of Education contracted with them to talk to relevant stakeholders and understand, what are the needs for Gateway, like what do we think is working, what do we think isn't working, and kind of come up with some sort of plan, is my understanding. So they have they have 2 more meetings apparently. I think one is actually happening later this week, but I'm not exactly sure when. I know they met with the board and some other people from our district to kind of discuss our needs and what we felt, but yeah.
And they're a national organization that.
I'm not too sure what they are. I mean, they seem like some sort of consulting group, but yeah.
It's interesting because National Equity Project, I wouldn't, instinctively think that they'd be the people to advise on a community school.
Well, but it's the most underserved. I mean, the students.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like such a broad.
It used to be called the Bay Area Coalition for Equitable Schools.
Ah, okay.
Excellent. Good.
Good sleuthing.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Any other questions about that process? Is it a public process? Are we welcome to attend, or is it?
I don't think it's a public process, but I was a little confused who else they were meeting with too.
Okay, so maybe you can put me in touch with whomever to see if we might get a representative somewhere to just sit at the table. Thank you so much. All right, next up is Commissioner Uhila Hautel on her attending the Partnerships in Education.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Last week I had attended, or maybe 2 weeks ago, the Partnerships in Education that was held by the San Mateo County Office of Education, Thrive Alliance for Nonprofits, Stanford Haas Center, and Silicon Valley Community Foundation. I was asked to be on a panel of other Pacifica women and nonprofit executive directors to share our community-based organizations and programs, and in hopes to in the room were educators. I was able to see Commissioner Swope there. We took a picture, and it was delightful to see her in the crowd. I led my introduction was a mindfulness meditation. So something kind of unconventional that they probably would expect, probably some, something of like a prayer or a song from a Pacific Islander woman, but I led led the group in a meditation to ground us, and not only to ground us, but give an example of a curriculum, mindfulness-based substance abuse training that we are facilitators of, first time in the county of San Mateo and Santa Clara. And so I was able to share the great news of that alongside my colleagues who were present there, who are also who are serving communities throughout the San Mateo County. So the theme was elevating racial justice in San Mateo County. So they had workshops around dismantling preschool to prison pipeline, strengthening partnerships and programming throughout the county in terms of expanding learning. There was a presentation around community schools that will be piloted in San Mateo, Foster City. So it was a great event to learn more about what's going on countywide in terms of the schools and what's going on throughout the county. So I was there in attendance, and just it was a great event to not only network, but like I said, to learn what other partners and schools throughout the district are doing in terms of designing equitable like programs. So yeah, that was my experience there. There were a lot of our partners that actually we do work with, like Hidden Villa, CRC communities, climate resilient communities, and EPAT, East Palo Alto Tennis Tutoring. So it was a great event for networking, and again, to learn various approaches that are going on throughout the county. I do like to add, I sent everyone in the commission, there is a BHRS meeting that's being held next week, and it's around data analysis and a solution-based approach around receiving services throughout the county. And so I encourage anyone that can attend this event that can give us, I know we were talking about disaggregating data earlier, and how do we collect the more meaningful data that can speak to our work, and integrating quantitative and qualitative data in these spaces. So that's separate than what I just presented on, but I just got this in my mailbox as an invitation, and maybe the BHRS representative here on the call can talk a little bit more about that meeting. But I think the more people that are there and providing our input and our opinions on these two very important priorities, it'll be great. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And maybe I think it's worth noting that Tiffany and the other Pacific Islanders entertained us at lunchtime and at the end of the afternoon. And I have some video if anybody would like to check it out.
Oh no, Commissioner Swope, you called me. I'm supposed to be in retirement. They called me up there to dance.
Yeah, I have your mother dancing on stage too, don't I?
Oh yeah. So it was a great event. It was truly great. I was very pleased with the coordination and the program.
It explains the foot injury.
Oh, yes.
Right.
The good point is when you do this dancing, you get money thrown at you.
Oh. Well, that sounds like a beautiful event. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for letting us know about it. And
Commissioner Houghton, maybe you can just circulate that BHRS.
She sent it.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
all right, is that a special meeting or their monthly meeting? Because I think their monthly meeting is next week. It may be on their monthly meeting. Okay, and then last up at 7 o'clock is Commissioner Swope. Did you want to give a brief update on religious services at the hall?
Well, thanks to Sanam, we've gotten the attention of St. Vincent de Paul's Gil Arriaga, who is now their head chaplain. And he's had a number of people cleared, but has not made arrangements for what time on a Sunday, or we would go in for communion services, or what time during the week we might do Bible studies or something.
So just to give an update on that, he submitted actually, I think I want to say about 6 or 7 more additional names. So I don't know if the previous people he assigned are no longer, but he provided an additional 6 to 7 people for clearance. And I don't even know if those people have reached out to make contact for the clearance process at this time.
So you don't know if Dr. Love has contacted them?
So I gave the names to Dr. Love. Dr. Love reaches out that same day.
Yeah, she did with me.
So she does it the same day, and it's up to the person to schedule the appointment. That's the missing piece. Not sure if they've reached out to schedule those appointments yet or not, but I haven't received any clearances for that new group of people that have come in.
Well, you told me that I have been cleared again. Since I haven't been in for like 2 or 3 years, she thought it was wise to go through the process again. And I've talked to one of the priests at my parish, Father Ian Quito, and he would be happy to go in and do mass on occasion and to hear confessions. So I'm hoping if there's any way we could do it before Easter, I would be so happy. But it just seems like everything is running like molasses, or even slower.
And do you want to come in and do Easter services, Ms. Swope?
I could come in and do it. Father Ian just got back from the Philippines, so he was gonna look at his schedule.
Is he cleared?
Huh?
Is he cleared?
He has not been cleared.
So he needs to
But
get
he's
cleared.
very excited about it. Susan and I go to the same church. I teach confirmation class to teens at the same church, and they've been really interested in getting involved in this. And I've been doing what I can. I bring in the Catholic Bibles. I talk to the kids who are Catholic when I'm there, and try to provide them spiritual guidance. But I think this is a key piece that's been missing for a long time.
Well, and I think Father Ian would be good. He's a young man. He was only ordained maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So I think he would relate well to the young. He's a very kind person.
Yeah.
He's from.
And he's interested.
No.
He's from Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel.
So I'm hoping we'll get it done. If we can arrange for me to come in on the Sundays, you want to talk about it after the meeting?
Sure, maybe not tonight, but we can connect.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Connect and arrange it, and get it figured out. If you want to come in, I have no problem with that.
Thank you so much. That's huge. That's the biggest holiday. Yes.
I just want to add the students that performed at the Partnerships and Education Summit, that they came from my school district.
Oh, well done.
My middle school, so I just want to throw that plug out there. Tiffany did email us, and it's actually, I just want to read it. It's actually a workshop next Wednesday from 8:30 to 4:30. So there's 2, and then the following day, Thursday, from 8:30 to 4:30 as well. It's at the CZI community space. So just check out the emails like she mentioned. And I sorry I didn't ask for time, but I want to share about Oye, March 23rd. I can give you a paper copy about the workshop. So if you'd like to attend, it's a Latinx youth conference at Kenyatta College, and I can also send you a PDF, and you can send it to the group to see if anyone would like to attend.
That would be great. That would be great. So Redwood City Kenyatta College. Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's our 12th annual. I'm also on that planning committee.
That's wonderful. Thank you,
And
Trustee.
we have some great entertainment. We actually have Alejandro Vilches, who's going to be one of our keynote speaker. And the other one is entertainment / keynote speaker, schoolyard rap. So I know it's gonna get all the kids on their feet. So I have the information, and I can give you a flyer, or I can just email you, and you can email the rest of the group.
And we'll have a table there as well.
Thank you so much. Any other announcements if you didn't make it keep it on the agenda. Anyone else have something they want to share before we adjourn the meeting at 7:05? All right, well, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.